Okay, so let's talk about the two videos that we watched in the warm-up and kind of their effect on you and kind of what the purpose was behind those two. So we have two videos, both are on Batman, the superhero, right? The first one we watched is an old TV show you may not have even seen before. It came out in the 1960s. So the first difference between the genres is this is a TV show while the next clip's a movie, right? And this TV show is a really silly, funny, exaggerated. And the reason why it's like that is because it's a response to the heaviness of the current events in the 60s. So you have the civil rights movement happening, you have the Vietnam War going on. And so this show is a way to escape those really heavy topics and just kind of let loose and watch something fun. The show is mainly a detective show and it has a lot of exaggerated and situational comedy. So, based on this crazy situation the characters are in, how are they going to respond? And that's supposed to be part of the humor. Like a lot of detective shows, like the old Scooby Doo show or CSI, it's more about the plot. Like, uh, what happened and who did it, and let's try to solve that as an audience and as the character. Um, and it's less about character development. We don't learn as much about Batman in this and what drives him and what motivates him. It's more just about watching him catch the bad guys and solve the crime and kind of figure that out. Um, it's also less exaggerated. I'm sorry, it's also very exaggerated. The lights exaggerated, the costumes are exaggerated. Everything kind of seems kind of silly and almost Halloweeny, right? Um, and the audience was young teenagers. And they also would put in these lessons um, about like eating your vegetables and wearing your seatbelt, all these little things that we want young people to kind of learn and take to heart. So it did a lot of that, and you can tell that it's kind of at a younger audience based on the humor, like the bang and the pow that pops up when they're fighting. So very specific genre, um, really silly comedy. It's a TV show that's about solving crime, so it's less about the character. And it probably, if you like this sort of thing, kind of makes you laugh. You kind of let sit back and let kind of watch a larger than life character like a superhero like Batman do larger than life and really, really silly things. Um, Personally, this isn't my kind of humor, so I kind of watch this and get kind of turned off, and so it doesn't have maybe the desired effect on me, or I'm not the right audience for it. But I can still appreciate what it's trying to do, especially when I know a little bit about where it's coming from. All right, the second clip's from The Dark Knight, one of my favorite movies. And it's a movie, obviously, that's another big difference. And usually in movies, not all movies, but usually in movies, especially kind of heavier movies like The Dark Knight, it's more about the character than the plot. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy things that happen in the movie, but it's more about learning about Batman, what motivates him, um, where like his beliefs and his code, like what's the limit of those things, right? Learning about the Joker, what motivates him, and then all the other people that are involved in the movie, and seeing them grow and evolve, or devolve and change as they're put in the situations that occur to them. It's much more serious. It's much more philosophical in nature. It's really one of the first superhero movies to really be philosophical and think about the ethics and morality and where does it end when you're taking justice into your own hands? How far is too far? This movie is a response to 9/11 and terrorism in general, and sort of that kind of fear that we all had right after, um, and how one or two people can really make us fear for our lives, or an organization or an event, a terrorist event, can really make us not feel safe anywhere. And there's definitely parts of the movies that make you feel that way. Um, and it's also a response to this idea that superhero movies couldn't be more realistic, more about life, more resemble life. It's what it should say. It's got the darker, more realistic costumes to go with the setting, and really contrasted there between the first one and the second one. And the audience is more mature. They wanted you to contemplate the choices that Batman was making and the effect of those choices, and question his philosophy and his morality. Is it okay to take justice in your own hands? Is it okay because he says he won't kill anybody, even though he kind of breaks a lot of laws or does a lot of violent things to get there? Is it okay that he picks and chooses to save the people that he loves more than other people? All those things are kind of being weighed. And then what happens when someone just throws chaos into that mix? How is everyone else going to respond? And can Batman still live up to that code? So it's a more mature thought-based. Someone who wants to kind of think through these things is probably going to be drawn to this. If you're not in the right mood, right? If you've had a really hard day, you probably don't want to watch this because it might put you into even darker mood. So a lot of these things, whether or not you like it, might also not just depend on your overall like likes and dislikes or interests when it comes to movies and TV shows. It might also be the exact mood you're in. But this movie will have a very different effect on you as someone watching it than the first one, right? The TV show. And the TV show, you can kind of just laugh and hang out and have fun. And this one kind of forces you to reflect and think a little more, and maybe think about issues that you don't always want to think about because they're really heavy. So different genres with different characteristics, right? And then different effect on the audience. So that takes us to this unit, the multi-genre unit. And what we're going to look at in this unit is all the kinds of genres that we see in English classes, right? So we have fiction, short story, novel, poetry, drama or play. And we're going to look at a couple different kinds of poetry, free verse and ones that are more specific to a genre, like a sonnet. Multimodal, so like infographic or video, and then nonfiction, which is usually informational, argumentative, but it can be some other things too. But these are the main genres in our discipline or in this English classes, right? And so we're going to kind of look at them and how they talk about a specific topic, such as love or finding freedom, or in this case, superheroes like Batman, and what is the effect of using those different genres. So as we go through this unit, these are the things we want to contemplate or think about. What are the features of each genre? So what makes a short story, or a novel, or a poem, etc. How do those features help lead the audience or reader to meaning? So all the features that are specific to that genre are meant to make us think a certain way, feel a certain way, react a certain way, and still get something out of it, right? We're supposed to read or watch something, understand it to a certain extent, and also feel something. So how do those features get us there? How does the features of a poem get us there versus a informational article? And then why do writers or artists use different genres to explore the same topics or themes, right? We've been telling stories for years. Poetry's been around and drama's been around for centuries. The novel, believe it or not, is pretty new. And so, why did we come up with these different genres to talk about the same thing, right? Because you could talk about love in a romantic comedy, you could talk about love in an old Shakespearean poem, you could talk about the different ways to meet people online to find love in an informational text, right? So why have all these different genres to talk about the exact same topic? And when do you choose which one for which purpose? All right. So those are the main things we're going to think about, and I hope the warm-up got you to start thinking about that a little bit as we think about the different genres, their features, and the purpose and the effect of those features on the audience. And we're going to be talking about that for the next several weeks.